That night, I wasn't just kicked out, I was erased. One minute, I was a wife holding my newborn baby. The next, I was standing outside in the cold, barefoot, shaking and begging for mercy. I didn't know it yet, but someone powerful was searching for me. Before I start, I need you to do something. If you've ever been judged, abandoned, or treated like you didn't matter, this story is for you. So please, like this video right now. It helps stories like mine reach hearts that need them. And subscribe, because what you're about to hear isn't just pain, it's karma, it's truth, and it's a twist so deep it changed my entire life. Now listen, because I'm about to take you back to the coldest night of my life, the night I learned what betrayal really feels like. It was late. The kind of late where the world feels asleep and the night feels like it has teeth. I still remember the sound of the rain, heavy and angry, smashing against the windows like it was trying to warn me. My baby was in my arms, barely a few weeks old, wrapped in a thin blanket that wasn't even warm enough for a summer evening, let alone this cold night. And there I was, standing in the living room of the home I once thought would be my forever. I looked at him, my husband, the man who once kissed my forehead and promised me, "I'll protect you." His eyes weren't the same anymore. They were hard, cold, almost embarrassed. Behind him, his mother stood like a queen of cruelty, arms folded, chin raised, like she had been waiting for this moment for years. I wasn't stupid. I knew she hated me. She never tried to hide it. From the first day she saw me, it was like my existence offended her. I was never good enough. Not the right background, not the right skin, not the right family. But that night, her hate didn't just show in words. That night, it became a weapon. "Get out." That's all he said. 2 words, like I was trash, like I was nothing. I blinked, thinking I misheard him. My arms tightened around my chest, as if the shock itself could knock her from my chest. What did you say?" He didn't repeat it. He didn't need to, because his mother stepped forward and did it for him, with a smile I will never forget. "You heard him. Take your child and leave tonight." I felt my throat tighten. I felt my heart slam into my ribs like it was trying to escape. "Please," I whispered. "It's raining. It's cold. She's just a baby." And then he said the words that broke me into pieces. "That's not my problem anymore." I stared at him. My mind refused to accept it. My body refused to believe it, because this was the same man who once cried when he found out I was pregnant, the same man who held my hand through labor, the same man who looked down at our baby and said, "We made a miracle." So I asked him, quietly, painfully, "Did you ever love me?" He didn't answer, and his silence was louder than any scream. His mother tossed a small bag toward me, a few clothes stuffed inside, like I was being evicted of my own life. She said, "You should be grateful. At least we let you take something." Grateful. That word almost made me laugh, but nothing came out except tears. I begged. I did. I'm not ashamed to say it. I begged because I didn't have parents to run to. I didn't have siblings. I didn't have a home outside that house. I was raised in foster care, passed around like a forgotten object. Love was never something I was born into. It was something I always had to earn. And I thought I finally earned it when I became a wife. But it turned out I was only tolerated. Until I wasn't. I stepped backward, my baby's tiny face pressed against my chest. I watched him reach for the door handle. "Please," I said again, "just until morning, just one night." He opened the door. Cold air rushed in like punishment. And then he said the final blow. "If you stay, my life will be ruined." I froze. His life? Not mine? Not our baby's? Just his? I walked out, and the door slammed behind me. The sound of it echoed in my bones, like the world itself just decided I no longer belonged anywhere. For a second, I stood there staring at the door like it might open again. It didn't. Rain hit my face, mixing with tears. I was barefoot on a wet porch, holding a baby who didn't understand what was happening, only that her mother's heartbeat had turned wild with fear. I walked down the steps, one step at a time, like a woman walking into her own funeral. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay there in front of that door, looking pathetic. So I walked. Streetlights blurred through the rain. My arms began to ache, but I refused to loosen my grip. I kept whispering to my baby, "It's okay. Mommy's here. Mommy's here." But my voice sounded like a lie. Eventually, I sat down under the small roof of a closed shop. I tried to shield my baby from the wind, but it was everywhere, slipping through every gap. I looked down at her. Her lips were trembling, her cheeks were cold, and I felt something inside me snap. Not anger, not hatred, something worse. Helplessness. I pressed my forehead against hers and cried silently, the kind of crying where no sound comes out because you are afraid the world will hear you and laugh. I didn't know what to do. And then I heard footsteps. I lifted my head fast, fear racing through me. It was late, a lonely street, a woman alone with a newborn. The worst thoughts jumped into my mind. But the man who approached didn't look like danger. He looked concerned, like someone who had seen pain before and recognized it. He held his hands up slightly as if to say, "I'm not here to hurt you." "Ma'am," he said gently, "are you okay?" I didn't answer, because what could I say? "No, I'm not okay. I've been thrown away like garbage. I'm freezing. My baby is freezing, and I don't know if we're going to survive the night." Instead, I pulled my baby closer. He nodded slowly, understanding my fear. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to scare you. I saw you sitting here. It's not safe." I watched him carefully. He was dressed like a driver, not rich, not flashy, just neat and simple. And his eyes had kindness in them, real kindness, the kind that doesn't ask for anything back. He took off his coat and held it out. "Please," he said, "wrap her with this." My pride screamed no, but my baby's shaking body screamed yes. So I took it. The warmth hit her like mercy, and my eyes filled again because I couldn't believe a stranger cared more than the man who made her. He offered to take us somewhere safe. I hesitated, but he didn't push. He simply said, "I can call a women's shelter, or I can call someone to help, but you can't stay here." Something in his voice felt like truth, so I nodded. That decision, that single nod, is what changed everything. He called a place nearby and stayed until help arrived. When the shelter van came, he even handed the staff money. I'll never forget what he said before leaving. "Some people lose their hearts the moment they gain pride. But God sees everything. I promise you, this isn't the end of your story." He walked away into the rain, disappearing like an angel who didn't want credit. At the shelter, they treated me like a human again. The staff gave my baby warm milk. They gave me dry clothes. They gave me a blanket thick enough to protect my child from the cold. That night, I stared at the ceiling, unable to sleep, because pain keeps you awake. Pain keeps replaying itself like a cruel movie you didn't buy a ticket for. Days passed. I stayed there quietly. I didn't tell many people my story because it made me feel ashamed, like I failed at being a wife, like I failed at being a woman. But one afternoon, something strange happened. A nurse volunteering at the shelter saw the small pendant I wore on a chain around my neck. It was old, worn down, the only thing I had from childhood. I never knew where it came from. I only knew it came with me when I entered foster care. No letter, no note, just this pendant, small, silver, with a unique symbol engraved on it. The nurse froze when she saw it. Her eyes widened like she had seen a ghost. "Where did you get that?" she asked. I touched it instinctively. "It's mine. I've had it since I was a kid." She swallowed hard. "I've seen this before." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" Instead of answering, she walked away quickly, too quickly. And that's when the fear returned. Not fear of being homeless, fear of the unknown. That evening, the shelter manager called me into her office. Her tone was gentle, but her eyes were serious. "There's someone here to see you," she said. My heart began to pound. "Who?" She hesitated. "He says he's family." Family? That word felt like a joke. I walked to the front of the building, and my body froze. A luxury car was parked outside, black, polished, like something from another world. 2 men in suits stood beside it. They looked like security. Then I saw him. An older man stepped forward slowly. His hair was gray, his face strong, but his eyes looked like they were carrying years of suffering. He stared at me the way people stare at someone they thought was dead. Then he whispered, barely able to breathe, "It's you." I took a step back, instinctively holding my baby closer. "Who are you?" I demanded. His lips trembled. Tears built in his eyes like they had been waiting for permission. "My daughter. My baby girl." I shook my head hard. No, you're wrong. I don't have a father." He reached into his pocket with shaking hands and pulled out a photograph. A photo of a little black girl wearing the exact same pendant. My legs turned weak. He showed me documents. He showed me proof of a missing child report from years ago. He showed me that investigators searched for me for years. And then he said the words that split my life into before and after. "You were taken," he whispered. "You were stolen from us when you were little. We never stopped looking." My mouth went dry. I stared at him like he was speaking another language. He continued, voice breaking. "I am not a rich man by luck. I built my life in real estate and shipping. But none of it mattered because my real treasure was missing. Shipping, real estate, billionaire." My brain couldn't hold it. I felt dizzy, like the room was spinning. Then he looked at my baby in my arms and smiled through tears. "And now I have a granddaughter." I wanted to scream, to deny it, to run. But when he stepped closer, I saw it. A familiar detail, a birthmark near his wrist, the exact same one I had. It was real. It was too real. They did a DNA test. When the results came back, the truth hit like thunder. He was my father, a billionaire, and I was never meant to be forgotten. When the news broke quietly, people began whispering. Even the shelter staff treated me differently, not because of my money, but because they realized my suffering wasn't because I was worthless. It was because someone stole my identity. Meanwhile, my ex-husband's family found out. Oh, they found out fast, because karma is not slow. Karma is patient, but when it arrives, It arrives loudly. They came to the shelter like desperate beggars. My ex stood outside with flowers like some cheap movie scene. "I made a mistake," he said. "I was stressed. My mother pushed me. Please come back." Come back? After throwing a newborn into the rain? I stared at him, feeling nothing. Not love, not hate, just emptiness. His mother appeared behind him, suddenly soft and sweet like poison wrapped in honey. "We didn't know," she said. "If we knew who you were, we would have never." I cut her off. "That's the problem," I said quietly. "You only respect people when they have power." She tried to speak again, but my father stepped forward. His voice was calm, and calm power is terrifying. "You threw my daughter out like she was nothing, and now you want her back because you learned her blood is valuable?" My ex's face turned pale. My father looked at him like he was a stain on the earth. "You don't deserve forgiveness, and you will not touch her again." Legal action came quickly. Not violent revenge, not screaming drama, just consequences. Court orders, custody protection, reputation destroyed. My ex lost business partners because no one wanted to be tied to the man who threw his newborn into the cold night. His mother? She lost her pride. And in the end, the same people who laughed at my tears were now drowning in their own shame. But the biggest twist wasn't the money. It wasn't the mansion I was offered. It wasn't the fancy life waiting for me. The biggest twist was what happened inside me, because I realized something that night I was thrown out. I may have been homeless, but I wasn't powerless. I survived with nothing. I protected my baby with my own body. I walked through the cold and didn't let the world swallow us. That strength? No billionaire gave me that. Life gave me that. Pain gave me that. I met my father again privately, away from the world. He apologized over and over, but I placed my hand on his and whispered, "You didn't abandon me. You lost me. There's a difference." He cried like a child, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged somewhere. Not because of money, but because someone looked at me and said, "You are mine. You are loved." Now I live a different life, a life with warmth, a life where my baby will never know what it feels like to be thrown away. And sometimes, late at night when the world is quiet, I remember that cold rain, and I whisper to myself, "They tried to bury me, but they didn't know I was a seed." If this story touched you, don't just leave quietly. Like this video if you believe no woman deserves to be abandoned. Subscribe if you believe karma never forgets an address. And comment right now, "She rose," because you just witnessed a woman rise from the darkest night into her true destiny. Thank you for listening. And remember this, sometimes life throws you out in the cold because your real home is waiting on the other side of pain.